There we go. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. We are so excited to have you for Stop Sending Emails That Get Ignored and How to Boost Your Business with Mailchimp. I am Elizabeth Case. I am the owner of Yellow Dog Consulting and a certified Mailchimp Pro partner. With me today is my fabulous partner development manager at Mailchimp, William Howard. You're going to learn a little more about William here in a couple of minutes. So, I am so excited to share with you today how email marketing can significantly enhance your business growth. Whether you're new to email marketing or looking to refine your strategies, this session is going to provide valuable insights for you. Before we get too far into it, I want to share a little bit about me. Nope. There we go. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. We're still learning technology. It's so much fun this morning. So, as I said, my name is Elizabeth Case. I started Yellow Dog Consulting back in 2011. Some of you have known me almost all that time. I started Yellow Dog Consulting. It's named after my original yellow dog, Hank. We adopted a yellow dog so that we could spend more time with our dog, and I was paying dog walkers and dog sitters to take care of them while I was out working for another sales and marketing firm. And what I quickly discovered was all my small business owner friends really needed help with their marketing efforts and needed somebody who could help be a little more nimble with that. So I started Yellow Dog Consulting to help small business owners with their sales and marketing efforts. One thing I quickly discovered was that email marketing kind of kept being the answer for a lot of my clients of, do you have a list? Are you talking to that list on a regular basis? What are you doing with your newsletter? And this could be a regular way to get in folks' inbox and be talking to them. Mailchimp quickly became my preferred platform for that. I think Mailchimp just has and continues to have like the right amount of tools, whether you're just starting out as a small business owner and getting started and launched, or if you've been in business for years or a huge multinational company, there's tools for you there as well. So Mailchimp became my preferred platform to use in my email marketing efforts with clients. Mailchimp started a partner program back in 2019, and I quickly joined on board with that. And then in the spring of 2023, I got an email from William that I had become a pro partner just by the work that I had done and the clients that I had worked with over the years. Part of being a pro partner means I've done a few certifications as well as working with clients. So I am officially Mailchimp certified, I am email marketing certified, and I am email automation certified. There is another certification that I believe I am missing for SMS, so texting kind of stuff, which is not something I've done yet, but it's on the to-do list for some point that I'm sure William will remind me of sooner than later. So anyway, so Yellow Dog Consulting and a little bit about me and how we got here. So, what are we talking about today? We're going to talk about email marketing. What is it? Why you should be considering it. Then William's going to talk more about why Mailchimp. Yes, we are paid and brainwashed to love Mailchimp, but we think it is a really great tool. And I think there's some awesome stuff that he's going to share with you about why Mailchimp has resources and tools and systems in it that you maybe haven't known about or haven't utilized to their full potential. And then we're going to talk about how you get started. We're going to walk through what all you need to think about when you're starting a newsletter and starting your email marketing journey. And for those of you who have been doing this for a while, then we'll talk about next steps. Like once you have the basics and the foundation down, we're going to talk about what are some things you can go from there. And then we'll take some time for questions. Feel free to throw questions in as you have them, and we'll try and keep an eye on that and answer them as we go along, but we will get to them at the end, if not before. All right, rock and roll. Okay, first things first, email marketing. Let's talk about it. So, what is email marketing? Email marketing is a direct marketing approach that uses email to promote your products or your services, right? But it's more than just sending messages or making sales. It's about reaching your audience where they spend time every day in their inbox. This is the best and most intimate place you can reach with a contact, unless you're at a Coldplay concert. But it really is the best place for you to be connecting with your network and with your clients and your contacts. So, why email? right? You have that direct access. You get to communicate directly with people in their inboxes where they're spending time every day. It's also cost effective, right? You have that high ROI compared to other marketing channels where you're just throwing money at ads and hoping the right people will find it. This is the right people that are supposed to be there. You can try other things, but nothing is as guaranteed to connect to your audience like email marketing. You can also have targeted messaging, which is really great, right? You can personalize the content for specific audiences and segments. One of my clients is a bookkeeping firm in Florida, and they do a lot of work with the construction industry, but not all of their work is with the construction industry. So in each newsletter, we like to put in a construction section, right? Some tips for construction workers, but we for construction employers, and so we just put that in for those folks who are tagged and segmented as in the construction industry, and then the folks that are not tagged as that don't get that information because you can target your messaging for them. You can target your messaging for people who have purchased from you before or are new buyers. So there's some really cool things that you can do there. It's also about relationship building, right? I like to say it's about educating your audience on your awesomeness, right? Like, how awesome are you? And they get to know every month or however frequently you're showing up in their inbox. They get to see just how great you are, how you think about problems in the industry and what you do, and how you can be of service to them so that when they're ready to buy, it's easy to do because you've been building that relationship. You could, and then, it drives conversions, like, which is what we're really doing here, right? You want your newsletter to bring you new business. So it sends traffic to your website. It can help increase conversions. It helps you to have targeted ads. But it's also, like I said, it's about those educating your network on your awesomeness. And it's the reminder that you're alive and available, right? One of my clients is a retail honey company out of California. And so we do, we often share like recipes and tools, and I'll talk a little more about that later. But we also, we do promotions on not every month, but on months that we do, we definitely see an increase in sales for the month. And so it can help drive conversions to your website as well. All right. Okay. I just making sure we're not missing anything. So a lot of great things here. All right. Now I'm going to pass it on to William to talk about why Mailchimp. William, why?
Hey, thank you, Elizabeth. That was a really great segue and really great information about like what is email marketing. But we're going to take a commercial break and talk about why Mailchimp, why use it, what is its value, and where we can go from there. So we can move on to like what is that those three problems that businesses and leaders are trying to solve, and that's like acquiring and retaining customers, driving sales growth, and maximizing that return on investment. And truthfully, about 56% of those businesses have a falling tech stack. And that just kind of raises the question, like, is your marketing keeping you, like, is it keeping you up or is it slowing you down? And that's kind of where Mailchimp fits in. And we'll talk a little bit more about like, what is Mailchimp, and where the value kind of lives. So I guess a little bit about us. Mailchimp has been around for a little over 2 decades, 23 years to be exact. Coming up on 24 probably in November. So it's a really great opportunity to kind of leverage it and pitch in, because we're the longest standing and most successful email marketing company in the world, and we've evolved historically throughout the years. For instance, we were acquired back in 2021 from Intuit, who owns QuickBooks, Credit Karma, and TurboTax, for those in the states that kind of use those products. And again, we're just quickly expanding to a global market so that we can kind of meet everyone as a full business suite rather than individual products. But to kind of hone in a little bit more about Mailchimp, again, we're the industry leading marketing platform, and we're innovating for millions and millions of marketers all over the world. And it's a really great opportunity to kind of learn a little bit more. So this is just like, a kind of a buzzword slide, Mailchimp. Really, we really want to just showcase the value again. So, we're serving 12 million customers. About 8 million of those are data backed recommendations from our features. We have 850 plus experts that we work with, Elizabeth being one of them. And then we have 300 plus integrations that are within our library. So again, we can really truly be that full encompassing small business suite for you. So Mailchimp does work in four main buckets, and that's our automations, integrations, optimization, making sure your emails are fully, meeting the standard and making sure that they're reaching the right audience. And then our premium plan services slash support. So really great ways to kind of leverage, our tools and also those folks that are here to help you be successful. First, we'll dive into what our first feature first and like most highlighted feature is the Intuit Assist to help you personalize your marketing at scale. From here, you can create email marketing campaigns in minutes with AI built email and automation features. You can personalize at scale with over 50 behavior triggers and intelligent recommendations to help you optimize those campaigns. Also, you can use email and SMS, as Elizabeth mentioned earlier. And then those that are using that see about 58% higher of a click rate when using both email and SMS. So it's a really great opportunity to kind of leverage both throughout your campaigns, which in the next few slides, I'll talk about a little bit more in depth. And next, in my opinion, we have the most popular feature, which is our customer journey builder, which is like that true automation that you feel like you're really coming to leveraging email and SMS. So let's say, for instance, you have a new customer coming into your door. They're going to buy a coffee for the first time. For example, you're a coffee shop, and then you're wanting to kind of acquire that customer. They join your email list, and then you want to send them a thank you gift later on. So they buy that coffee. They'll get the email later on in the day and say, hey, thanks for buying the coffee. Here's 15% off later on your next purchase. Just to use that as an example of what the power could be to kind of acquire and retain those customers through our automations. And I'm sure a lot of you want to have that bird's eye view into the work that you're doing, kind of like a roadmap. So on top of the automation feature, we do have our campaign manager. So you can accomplish this with like a global view of your marketing. So you can see like next month, we're going to plan on submitting, we're sending out campaigns to those who have birthdays in August, or, going to send out campaigns in September for Labor Day. So there's just different ways to kind of plan ahead, especially when you want to automate things in the future. So again, this is the campaign manager, a really great tool to leverage, social media posts, SMS, and email all in one place. And then again, highlighting back into that SMS. So this is kind of like the wrap up of all of our automation features. And now it's available in so many other countries. So if you're based outside the States, you can definitely, tap into SMS in Canada, Italy, Spain, Australia, just to name a few, just so you can kind of, leverage that opportunity to capture more customers worldwide. And then you can also, through this, you can do one-on-one communications with customers, maintain loyalty programs and benefits, offer promos like again 15% off your next coffee or your next purse, exactly whatever you want to kind of sell. And then also just obtain feedback and reviews. You made that purchase or you want to obtain this insight into how to be a better business. You can do that through SMS as well. And to highlight, those have seen average deliverability rate of 93% by using SMS. Just to kind of recap on that benefit. Thank you. Cool. So let's move into the next bucket, integrations. And so now you have the opportunity to connect your marketing stack to, again, that 300 plus available integrations in the library. So you can centralize that critical data like from Google Analytics, customer behavior. Let's say you use Salesforce or Shopify. Those are all these things that you can incorporate into your Mailchimp tech stack. So you can get all that data that's relevant, send them all the information that's relevant, and also just make everything in one space. Because Mailchimp's e-commerce integrations have led to an average increase of 21% in the click rates for customers who have connected those stores with us. So if you're really big in the e-commerce space, integrations is really where you're going to see the most success. And to highlight a little bit deeper into our integrations, QuickBooks, again, Intuit does own QuickBooks, and we do integrate very seamlessly with it and within our QuickBooks operations, where you compare customer data from QuickBooks, including transaction history, invoices, and organize that into your customer database within Mailchimp. Plus, you can build unified customer profiles in Mailchimp to keep tabs on like that client business potential. Let's say they have different trending or different spending trending habits. You may want to capitalize that on that later as you kind of go out and send out those email automations. And then next, we're going to kind of talk a little bit about, how other businesses have done this. We do have one case study through Canva. Again, another great integration partner with us, but also a customer. So yeah, Canva Newsroom is a top funnel marketing branch that like lives within Canva, and they gather data about what the audience wants from our forums feature, and then also our Mailchimp reports feature. So they can kind of just keep tabs on the high open rates and use that data to inform their content strategy. And they also segment their audience throughout, using the A/B testing to kind of test like a mixture of those engagement methods to kind of see, what's going to stick. Is it going to be, website design, or is it going to be, the AI features that Canva is operating through? So that way they can focus more on, what each audience wants to kind of learn the most about and be successful. So as you can see, through our feature, they increased their click-through rate to 3.4%, which is higher than average when it comes to click-through rates. And you'll see a little bit more about that in the next few slides with Elizabeth. And then, kind of wrapping up, we do have so many support features like our 24/7 email and chat support that you can leverage, exclusive phone support for premium plan users, and then also a customer success manager to kind of help you onboard as you, maybe pay for that standard or premium plan. You get about 30 to 90 days, I believe, of customer support one-on-one from our team, just so that you can get onboarded more efficiently. But that does lead us into a little bit more about our support system that we want to tie you up with our partners, which is why we're working with Elizabeth today. So through this, you can see that it's a perfect segue into learning more about what our partners can offer on top of our support, so that we can make sure your business is most successful as you grow, retain, and make revenue for your business.
Thanks, William. Yeah, it is really great. There's a bunch of partners and we all talk to each other, which is really wonderful, especially as somebody who works from home with my two dogs now. The original yellow dog passed away a few years ago, and now it's Norm and Cliff who are currently sequestered away, so they are not barking during this presentation today. But it's nice to be able to bounce ideas if I get stuck on something, or if some client asks for something I haven't done before. I find myself regularly reaching out to William and saying, what the heck, how do I do this? Or what's going on? Or using the chat as well. Mailchimp is a great resource and fount of knowledge, and we'll talk a little more about that, but I cannot say enough great things. It's part of why I'm a partner. So I love it. And I'm glad we talked a lot about integrations, because integrations are one of my favorite things about Mailchimp that we don't, that I feel like not enough people understand how robust they are. So if you get nothing out of today, go play around with the integrations tab in your Mailchimp account and see just how many places you can be connecting your contacts already into your Mailchimp account. Okay, let's talk about building a newsletter and getting started with Mailchimp. Now that we kind of know what we're doing, why Mailchimp, let's talk about getting started. So first things first, you are like, okay, I've got this. I'm going to start sending out a regular newsletter. I know I want to be doing this, but what you need to be doing first is creating your contact list, right? It is the foundation of your email marketing. It's that if you build it, they will come, but also you need to kind of let's get some people there to get going. So you can build your list, right? There are different ways to build your list. First is by importing the people that should already be on your list. This includes your existing contacts, not everybody, but your clients, Both past and present clients should be added to your list. It's called implied consent because they've been working with you. If the past client ended badly, you do not have to include them. You can also remove them from your account if things end badly and you don't want them on there anymore pretty easily. But for the most part, past and present clients, people who have made a purchase from you, uh, also your active prospects. This is one that I think can get overlooked sometimes. If you are in a sales process with somebody, not that you're dreaming that someday they'll be a client of yours, but you're actively engaged in that conversation. This is a part of my follow-up process, is adding people to my newsletter list. We've talked about working together. I've sent them some information, a proposal about working together, and then I'll just say, I'm going to add you to my newsletter list. And this way you can kind of see what I'm doing. And if in a few months you're ready, go ahead and just reply to the newsletter because you're going to get it every month. And you can say, okay, I'm ready to work with you. And it has worked more than it has worked many a time for me. So don't negate that. Make sure you're adding those active prospects in there. The other group that you want to make sure you have on your list are your referral partners. So these are people that are sending you clients and leads. You want to make sure that they know what you're up to. It makes it really easy so that they can forward your newsletter to that person they're referring you to. Hey, this is the person I mentioned to you last week that I think can totally help you rebuild your website or help you with your insurance policy question that you had. The other thing you want to make sure you do when you're building your contact list is have a sign up form on your website. And I know that sounds obvious, but from looking at many a website, it is not obvious. So make sure you have a sign up form on your website. Mailchimp has a lot of integration. So if you have a Wix site or a Squarespace site or a WordPress site, there's all sorts of great easy plugins to get that added to your site. You can do pop-ups, whatever you need to do. The other thing that I love that Mailchimp offers are landing page builder, is the landing page builder. This is what you clicked on to sign up for today's webinar, in fact. And so it's a great way where on the back end, you can kind of track and tag people and segment folks, which we'll get to. But it's a great way to have something simple. And you can see from the graphics right here, just it can be just that simple. Subscribe to get the latest updates, and all we need is your simple email. You can keep it very simple. It can be if you have a download on your website that you want people to connect to. And one other overlooked Mailchimp feature is collecting contacts at events with the Mailchimp Subscribe app. I was at a community event a couple of months ago, and as I was like writing my name and my email address down on the piece of paper and going, not even I can read why I thought Elizabeth at yellowdogconsulting.com was going to be an easy to write out email address when I created it 11, 14 years ago. I'll never know. But I said, if you're using, are you guys using MailChimp for your newsletter? And they were like, yeah, lady, why would you ask that? And I'm like, there's a handy app you could create. You could create a landing page just for this event that would tag everybody, and we can just type our names in, or you can hand us a QR code or give us a little subscribe app action, and we can just plug our information in for you. And then you don't have to go in and try and read everybody's chicken scratch email handwriting all the time. So make sure you're using those apps, especially if you're at events, farmers market, trade shows, networking events. Using those apps is a really great way to collect people to get them added to your list. Do remember to always get permission before adding people to your list so that you're complying with regulations and building trust. So obtaining permission for contacts, keeping your list clean and updated. And then, as we talked about earlier, using those integrations. The integrations are such a great way to make sure that people are getting added to your list using tools you already have, right? So every time a new client is added into my billing system, it automatically adds them into Mailchimp. Anytime people download this tool, right, download something on my website, it automatically gets added, integrated into my website, and tagged appropriately from the background. So spend some time with those integrations to see if there's ways you're collecting contact information already that you can get those folks added on. This is one of those hills I will die on when it comes to your newsletter. All right, so you have a list. You have all these contacts on your list, and that is amazing. Let's talk about segmenting it, right? So segmentation involves dividing your audience into groups that share similar traits. It can be demographics, purchase history, engagement levels, but it's a great way to kind of connect folks and make sure that you're paying attention to how they are engaging with you. Another great way to do that is by using tagging. It's helpful when adding clients of specific lists in. So, right, I got a list of everybody who registered for today's webinar. And so added them into my Mailchimp account and tagged them so I can send things appropriately and then track them along the lifespan. And I do that all the time, right? You can tag and segment people when you're using your subscriber forms or landing pages as well, so you can track things. It just helps to increase your relevance, drive those engagement rates, and help boost customer satisfaction, right? One of my clients, like I mentioned earlier, is a winery. And so we tag all the wine club folks, and then we can send, when they get added into the wine club system, it automatically tags them in MailChimp as a wine club member so that we can automatically, when there's a wine club shipment coming up, we can send just to wine club and say, hey guys, it's time. I mentioned the bookkeeping firm with the account with the construction clients earlier, right? We tag them so we know who to be sending to. So you have the list, you've segmented the list so it's all organized and pretty and doing what it's supposed to do. And now you need to send them an email. So it can be overwhelming, right? You're not a graphic designer, you're a bookkeeper, you're a winery, you're a honey company, right? Like you're not a graphic designer. And one of the things that I love about Mailchimp is that they have all these customizable templates for you where they've done the work. They have drag and drop editors so you can just easily pull in what you need, take out what you don't need. But what I really love is that they have brand consistency. So you can put in all of your branding, your logo, your colors, your fonts. And so you can easily have a well-branded newsletter each and every month. I just was working on a newsletter the other day for a client and I put on, I put a header in there and then I went to put in a subhead and I didn't like how the color combo was looking with a graphic that was around it. And so I was able to just kind of click on one of those subheads and go, and it had the color palette right there that I was able to switch to a different color that was going to better complement how things were flowing in the newsletter. They make it so easy, which I really love. So having compelling visuals, right? Some of my clients like to keep their newsletter pretty simple. It kind of looks more like a traditional email with focused on text. Some of my clients like to have more graphics in there. The honey client will recommend a recipe, and so we'll get a photo of that. The winery will include, a picture of the vineyard and how veraison is coming along, or some other fancy wine term I pretend that I know every time they throw it out at me. The accounting client, the bookkeeping client will does a bunch of YouTube videos, so we'll throw in videos in there as well. A couple of things you want to make sure you do. You're going to focus on that visual hierarchy. So using clear headings, including engaging visuals, and making sure your call to action stands out. Don't have 47 calls to action. Have one clear call to action. What is the point of your newsletter for the month, right? Or the week, or however your frequency is. But having that just stand out. Get that button, make sure it's all branded, make sure it's very clear what you are wanting folks to do in your newsletter each month. You also want to make sure you're previewing your emails on mobile devices. So many users check emails on their phones. So you want to make sure that you're looking to make sure that everything flows. And one of the fun things about Mailchimp is when you're building your newsletter, you can look. There's a graphic up there that has, and I should have showed it in here, I'm sorry, that has a computer, like a desktop, and then a mobile. And you can just click on that and even view and see what is this going to look like on a phone, which is so, so helpful. So creating an eye-catching email. Don't overwhelm folks. Don't use Comic Sans as a font. Make sure that you're looking through these things. So it's a lot, I know. One thing that I get a lot of questions about are your subject lines. And the deal is where the from line and the subject line are a first impression of your newsletter. This is where people are going to see it. So what we find as best practices for effective subject lines are keeping it short, right? I don't need a novel just to get to open the email, right? So keeping it short, creating urgency and curiosity, right? Making people want to open the newsletter, but not being gimmicky and spammy. You can personalize it too. So, hey, William, how's your Tuesday, right? Like that is a totally great subject line, or what are you doing Tuesday, or whatever it might be. Make sure you're avoiding spammy words that might get caught in company spam filters like free, buy now, that kind of stuff. These are kind of some fun examples over here, right? Simple things, right? Let Entra welcome you home and using the home emoji. Using emojis. It's something that a few years ago we weren't doing as much of, but emojis are great. And you don't need 47 of them. You can use one very clear and simple one, or a couple of them, right? That make sense and flow. So use emojis judiciously, sure, or, more modestly if that's your vibe as well. Something we talked a little bit about and can talk a little bit more about is A/B testing. You can test your subject lines and see what you can test your from line and your subject line and see what works. So after you've been sending out a newsletter, kind of start to play more with that A/B testing of what got people to open the newsletter more, right? This subject line or this subject line. It's something I've done with clients over the years a bunch, and it's really helpful to see how do they react to it. Make sure also that your subject line aligns with your email content. You want to avoid that spamminess. Years ago, I got an email, and the subject line was just "Hey," and it was somebody that I knew, and so I thought she was just sending me an email to say "Hey" and ask me something. And then the email itself was something like super obnoxious and like, "Have we talked about your marketing efforts yet?" And I could not unsubscribe fast enough, and I was glad that it was over email, so I didn't accidentally punch them in the face because it was so annoying. So don't be gimmicky, don't be spammy. Make sure your subject line aligns with all of that. And I'm off of that soapbox. um, and then you want to create engaging content, right? Like we want to write newsletters that people want to open. And so it can be all over the place. I don't always show a lot of examples of what goes into a newsletter because it really depends on you, your brand, and your industry. So everybody's a little different. It doesn't always have to be original content. It can be content that, you're sharing with folks. I've started working with a realtor in town, and she's also a mom. So we share a lot of family-friendly events every month. Like, here's the thing, like this summer, it's all about what she's doing with her 9-year-old daughter. And while my dogs don't care about that, I know that her list is eating it up because we track all of that. So when you're thinking about creating engaging content, start with strong attention grabbing headlines, right? Using short paragraphs and bullet points. I don't know about you, but I don't have time to read a novel 3 times a day in my inbox, and I don't know if you do either. So making sure that the content is helpful and easy to digest for folks. Storytelling elements, right? Incorporating storytelling elements. Have you had a successful client experience lately? Have you done something really interesting that you think people should hear about? Using high quality images or graphics, right? Visuals are really helpful for folks. And then making sure you end with a clear and compelling call to action. So, what is it that you want people to focus on each month? And it might just be that this is one of those months where they're, being educated on your awesomeness and there's not a lot for them to engage with. That's okay. Respond and tell me what you like this month. What are you working on? Also, make sure that you're using personalization, right? And this is where segmentation can be really handy in that. But using that personalization. So, merge tags for names or other details. So, if you write your newsletter more like a letter, like my newsletter will always say, "Hi, name," and then, like, "I'll talk to you, but I'm talking to you," right? Like, so it's a little more inviting. So using merge tags for names and other details, you can traffic all, like William was mentioning earlier, like segmenting and sending specifically for birthday months and things like that. My birthday is in July, so I've been getting a lot of emails this month because people segment their and have, really great audience segmentation. So they can send me stuff for my birthday and all sorts of fun, free and discounted things that I received over the past 30 days. Um, and as I said this earlier, right, when we talk about segmentation, that personalization, it's like stuff that can be just for wine club, just for the construction clients, just for people who have already bought something before. You can have that kind of segmentation and personalization in there. Okay. When you send your campaign, it can be just as important as what you send. So you've built the newsletter, you have it all branded, it looks amazing, you've never felt better, you're so excited for this. When are you going to send it? So everybody's different. right? So for my business consulting client, he loves a Thursday morning at 6 a.m. Pacific time. It's just like that early morning time works really well for him. For this realtor client, right? Like a Friday morning or a Thursday evening is great because it's activities she can do with the family, and people are thinking about like all the stupid stuff they have to do with their house this weekend, and maybe I'll just sell it and buy a new one, right? And that's, when you're thinking about those kinds of things. So think about timing when you're thinking about your newsletter. Consider their time zone and their habits. If you are B2B, then be sending it during business hours. I don't want to think I get a newsletter on a Sunday from somebody that's all about business. And I'm like, I don't want to be thinking about this at 11 o'clock on a Sunday morning. I'm still in my weekend. I'm trying really hard not to think about what I have to do this week until tomorrow morning. So think about when, so I don't open it. I often just delete it. And it's like, so think about those habits, right? Mailchimp has a very cool tool that I love, their send time optimization. And so it will help you to figure out when the best days of the week, they have the calendar and the send time optimization. So they'll help you figure out when are the best times for your audience. So the more that you're using Mailchimp and tracking things, they can help you understand like, all right, this is going to be a good time. Another thing you want to be paying attention to are holidays and events, right? I did a lot of this with my clients this month where it's like, all right, 4th of July is on a Friday. Do we even want to consider sending out something out the first week of July like we usually do? Or is it going to get lost in the mess of the holidays and people are going to miss it? So make sure as you're planning out your year schedule and your month schedule that you're considering those things. Back to school, we're getting into back to school season. I live in Oregon where we don't start till Labor Day, but my niece is down in Arizona where she starts next week, which is insane. So thinking about the holiday schedule and the back to school schedule, even if it does not pertain to you, it probably pertains to some people in your audience. But maintaining that consistent sending schedule, right? If nothing else, you do need to be sending it regularly. So it doesn't need to be the first Friday of the month at 6 a.m. like it is for one of my clients. Sometimes it's the 4th of July. And so it's the second Friday of the month just because we know Fridays work for them. But have that consistent sending schedule so they know that every month, every X amount of time, they're going to be hearing from you. Use that email calendar, mapping out your campaigns in advance, planning things out for the year, and making sure that you're balancing both the promotional and informational content, right? You don't want to only reach out to your audience when you're selling them something. You need to also make sure you're spending that time building the relationship, educating them on your awesomeness so that they're ready to buy when the time is right, or when you have a webinar to promote that they go, she's really smart and been doing this for a long time. I would love to come to that webinar because she obviously knows what she's talking about. And I know that worked for a few of you maybe. So planning your email calendar can ensure that balanced and strategic approach. It's really helpful, and make sure you're being consistent. So scheduling the campaign. So we're going to send this out the door. It's scheduled. And then MailChimp's going to give you some data. And I know you're going, yay, numbers and data. I married a CPA, so sometimes I do hear that around my house. But this is it. So you're analyzing your email performance and helping you refine your strategy. That is what we want to do. So a week after I send a newsletter out for a client, I send them an email that a week later and I say, here's what happened. So the essential metrics for me are your open rate, right? And they say an ideal open rate, this is MailChimp says the ideal open rate is somewhere between 15 and 25%. And that's what I usually say to my clients. If we're sending, like we were aiming for over 20% of an open rate, right? And then your click-through rate. So how many people clicked on it, clicked into the newsletter? How did that call to action go? And so we look at, all right, anything over 2% is good. So if you are expecting that everybody who reads your newsletter is going to click and go somewhere else, right? Going to a second location, that's a big ask. So you need to make it really clear and really obvious. So that click-through rate. We also looked at, if they are connected to a store, we'll look at sales for that. So we can say, okay, according to MailChimp, you made $950 this month, which for individual jars of honey is a really good deal. Right? So we can see how much people are spending each month connected to the newsletter. Also, how many people unsubscribed. I know that is a touchy one, and it is the most therapy I do for clients, but trust that you want people on your list who want to be on your list. So it is okay if people unsubscribe. What you don't want is a bunch of people because They maybe didn't ask to be on your list. You added them anyway, and now they're kind of annoyed with it because Mailchimp will slap your hand for that because we want healthy list building and it goes against canned spammed rules. And we can get into all that later if you have questions, but sort of a different topic. But we'll look at your unsubscribe rate. And then we'll see what folks clicked on, right? So, of all the things that you talked about, what did people click on? I have a client who makes once a month, she sends out a like kind of her favorite things of the month. And for whatever reason, when she includes a clothing item, her list goes off the walls bananas for it. I've never seen so many people click on a pair of J. Crew pants that I maybe bought myself in my life. It's wild. Like that's just what her list loves is they know that she's, trusted and respected and done the research. And it's like, all right, this is the caftan for me, I guess. So all of this to say, you want to understand your metrics, right? Understanding these numbers, it's going to help you with what's working and where there's room for improvement, right? So you want to test and optimize those subject lines and your content. You also want to think about cleaning your list regularly. If you've had that list for a while and you're getting lower open rates, it might be time to look at who's in your audience. And if somebody hasn't opened a newsletter or engaged with you in a couple of years, maybe it's time to archive them away and say, we're good, you can go now. And then you can also analyze and adjust based on the data. So I send this email to my client. I say open rate, unsubscribe rate, sales, clicks. Here's my recommendations for next month. I think we wash, rinse, and repeat, or I think we need to change some stuff up. So regular reviewing all of this can be really helpful to make sure that you're sending the right stuff to the right folks. All right. What's next? You are regularly sending out your newsletter. You're feeling like it's pretty dialed in. You've tested a few things. You like your analytics. So now it's time to see what else we can do. So a few things that I love as you become more comfortable with the basics, start thinking about some of the advanced features. Automation workflows, right? William talked about this a little bit. Those customer journeys is what we call them. But do you have some sort of opt-in download, sales funnel that you want people to go through that can be automated in there? Super helpful. I do it if you've ever downloaded something from my website before, or if you do after this event, because you're going to get an email later with some opportunities to do so. You'll experience that automation workflow firsthand. Also, that A/B testing that we talked about, right? So send times, subject lines, from lines, content. Be using that. And then you can try working more with personalized product recommendations. So as you connect your store and see what people are working on, you can make recommendations of, you've never bought something from me before. So how about we do free whatever, free shipping or 10% or 15% off. If you've bought something from us before, now we have a new product that we think is similar to this that we think you're really going to like. So be thinking about that. I also want to recommend as you get more into Mailchimp, when you get stuck or have questions, Mailchimp's knowledge base is a really, really helpful tool. I use it all the time when I'm looking for stuff. Stupid things and technical things like graphics and measurements and sizing stuff, but more general stuff like how to integrate a specific app or connect with a website or something like that. The knowledge base is a really great place to start when you have a question. If you or somebody on your team is going to be in charge of Mailchimp, if you have not outsourced it to some lovely pro partner, the Mailchimp Academy is incredible, right? It's how I got started with all of the great training that's in there. I recommend it a lot for colleagues who are working in that space and have people on their team doing it, where it's like, check out the training courses. There's some really helpful things in here. And then, outsource that. If you're going, this is a lot for me, contact me, reach out to me. I'm happy to help. Reach out to William and the Mailchimp team. We are here to help make sure that you have everything that you need. So those are kind of those next steps of what you can do from there. This is a lot of information, I know. And so I want to make sure we leave a few minutes here for questions of what works, what's been working, where you're hung up with Mailchimp these days. We're really helpful. Really glad you guys could join us today for this. Thank you so much. Happy to answer any questions. You're also going to get an email from me later this afternoon. So you can respond to that with any specific questions that you might not want to ask in front of an audience. And that is just fine as well. We are also recording this, and you're going to get a recording of this later this week. So if you want to watch this again or share it with somebody else on your team or a colleague that you think needs to be watching this, that would be lovely. So, seeing no questions, I want to say thank you so much for your time. Here are my pups, Norm and Cliff. So thank you guys for being here today. Thank you so much to William and the Mailchimp team for all of your help and support. You guys are amazing. And we are so glad you guys have been here today. So thank you. Enjoy the rest of your lovely Wednesday. And you'll hear from me later today with some more information about how to connect and if you have any other specific questions. So take care, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.